Coach, the report yesterday from Adam Schefter, though, and this kind of hit me like but the report was suggesting that Shedeur, if he played well enough in his first NFL start last Sunday, that he made Cleveland's decision to start him again an easy one. This is what Schefter writes. He's got the opportunity not only to start again on Sunday against the 49ers, but also to play well enough to continue earning starts for the rest of the season. He's telling us in some ways, the timing of this is what I find interesting. I don't think you can release this and then all of a sudden, if Shedeur stinks up the joint today, tell him he doesn't have the game against the Titans. Like, my big takeaway on this is that part of the equation got removed. Even if for the longest time, I worried this would just be a 2-game audition at best, and he had to keep proving it week in, week out, and then he would get it's almost like a carrot. He's got a carrot on a stick. They're just going to dangle it for him. But this tells me that they're going to give him a little bit of a longer runway. They want to give him that at least a chance to see what they can have. It's a smart direction for the Browns if they take the results and just say, okay, against a good 49ers defense. I'm not going to say good 49ers defense. Their EPA is crap. But you know what I mean. Against a team that we like more than we dislike, an 8-win football team, if you're not Joe Montana out there, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world.
Well, it's the same. You want to make sure he's able to go through the highs and lows, right? Because there's going to be highs. Today will be a great learning experience. If you see a pick, I guarantee you he's going to go watch the pad and say, oh, they did this post-snap. So you like the idea. Now, I will say this, as I think the Browns are making a great decision because I'm a big believer in winning, and I've told you that before. So as much as I am a Dillon Gabriel, a person who believes in his skill set, I really do, and I continue. He hasn't been impactful. And if you're a football fan, and if you're a football coach like I am, and you didn't see the impact that Shedeur had last week, his guys played with more juice, more energy. That's important. So you got to kind of say winning's important. So we're going to give him a chance to see what he can do. I think that's important. And once again, that comes from somebody who believes in Dillon Gabriel as well, but I believe in winning more. And he showed he threw some catchable footballs. Now, they helped him out a lot. They played a really poor defense, but so what? It's the NFL, and he won, and he made some big throws when they were available. Let's see what he can do now. Now the honeymoon's over. Now he's got film out there. Now he's going to have to continue to progress.
Well, and again, it's not as if this is set up as a great game for him either, though. I mean, this is ridiculous wins. The weather seems like it's going to be horrible. It is a 49ers defense with Saleh that does a lot of pre and post coverages and changes things up. Like it's a difference here. There is. And I'd love to see what he does against the Titans next week is the other part of this, too, is that I really want to see what he can do there. But what this tells me is that if the Browns, after this game, go back to Dillon Gabriel, this report right here is what is going to keep them from that. Because you'll look like an absolute idiot if you then go back away from Shedeur Sanders, regardless of how it looks today, and then you say we're going back to Dillon when 24 hours ago, what is one of the best national beat reporters that we have in Adam Schefter is saying the Browns want to give this a chance, a real chance, and a long runway. You just look like an idiot if you go back on that.
Well, back to when Dillon played his worst game of the season, and Kevin came right out and said, Dillon start next week. And everybody, when I talked with you guys on Tuesday, and the thought was, why would you do it? And I said, that's good news for Shedeur Sanders as well. Because if Shedeur was to play, he played pretty well last week. Today, if he plays terrible or if he plays great, you want to see him go through these highs and lows. And you're right. Today, he might make some mistakes because of what, the defense he's going to see in the pre and post snap stuff. So you want to see him be able to go through those highs and lows without having the idea that if I don't play great, I'm getting taken out. It'll free him up a little bit. And again, when they did that with Dillon Gabriel, I was very excited. I'm also very excited for Shedeur Sanders because that tells you he can play a little bit more free, know that he's probably going to get another shot regardless of how he plays. And then you see, does he learn from that going into the Titans game?
Another thing from this report is that they said that Shedeur had another good week of practice, taking the starters reps for the second time this season. And they obviously loved his playmaking skills, his aggressive downfield throws, and his ability to buy time and push the ball down the field. I do find it convenient that all these things that they said that he's not ready for, he's not able to pull off. Now when he's the starter, a mere 5 weeks later, they're like, oh, now he looks good. Now this man's ready to cook. Okay, guys, all right.
But I'll give you this. I'll clap back a little bit here because when
please do because they made it seem like Shedeur never hold a football before, and now all of a sudden it's like he's doing everything we want and he's being this perfect teammate and perfect guy in practice. All right, guys.
Well,
because something magical happened in 5 weeks for Shedeur Sanders, coach.
Well, let's see what here's the thing. He did all those things you're talking about. He did, and once again, never minimize a win in the NFL because it's hard to win in the NFL.
No, I'm minimizing them pretending as if he couldn't pull off this win 5 weeks ago. Is what I'm minimizing.
But we're going to see how it is when he has to get to his.
As if we're all supposed to just accept the idea, coach, that Shedeur Sanders really needed the guidance of this Browns coaching staff in order to go ahead and get him to a good week of practice. Like, give me a break.
Well, here's the thing, though. Once again, I don't want to be Shedeur, against what he did because I have a lot of praise for what he did and they won. However, he only completed 11 balls. The ball he threw to Isaiah Bond was a levels concept.
But this isn't about that. This is their words suggesting that he's had this great week of practice and they were really impressed.
I'm saying that when they say that he wasn't ready, you're going to now see how ready he is because now they're going to get him out of the levels concept. They're going to get him out of the swing passes. They're going to get him out of the easy checkdowns to Fannin. They're going to cover those things and they're going to force him to go to a second, third progression as a defensive coordinator. Now, he's going to need reps to do that, and there will probably be a learning curve. So when they say that, I don't think they weren't sabotaging him. I think there's some realism to that.
Well, I didn't say they were sabotaging him. I just said it's interesting to point out how a few weeks ago they acted as if he couldn't do these things, and now he's able to do these things, and they're waxing poetic about how great he's able to do these things. And it's like, guys, nothing changed in 5 weeks of him sitting behind Dylan Gabriel holding a football and a clipboard.
Well, but I will say this. The thing that he does that I don't think they gave him credit for, because he did it in camp too, and I watched every throw, he's a playmaker. And sometimes you just, once again, it's not the stats, it's not the PFF, it's not the numbers, it's the do you make plays when they're presented to you? And that's what he's always done. And, what he doesn't know, you have to balance with the playmaking ability and hope that, he's a very smart kid, that he learns that stuff and continues to see it with reps.
And that's what that is. That Isaiah Bond play, that's a playmaker play.
But it's a playmaker play.
Absolutely. Like that, and stuff like that is, and this is where I think they've always missed in their evaluation of him. They had not understood that Dylan does none of that, and he does a lot of that. And again, there's a lot of Baker Mayfield that I see with Shedeur Sanders in many ways. Not only getting the teammates to be the best versions of themselves and getting them excited and getting them amped up, the idea that you can't quit on plays when Shedeur's your quarterback. You can't just relent and say, all right, the play, I'm 30 yards down the field, I guess I just stop running this play out. The way that, like said Tillman did in the Raiders game, they're not going to do that on a consistent basis with Shedeur because they think the ball is going to come to him. Meanwhile, with Dylan, guys if they got 20 yards down the field, the play was blouses for them. They just stopped. Like there's little things like that I think come up in a big way. Coach, you wanted to make a point off Shedeur in the conversation we're having. Obviously, we have the report from Adam Schefter that came out yesterday. The Browns are open to giving Shedeur an extended look as QB1. I don't think either one of us have any problems with that. I think that's the right call. I reiterate, I think it's interesting that they did it yesterday. Because you'll really look stupid if Schefter comes out and says, extended look for Shedeur Sanders, and then after this game, if he struggles with wins and everything else, you're like, I guess we're back to Dylan Gabriel. You'll look like an idiot. There's no other way to say it. You'll look dumb if this was the report now. So I think the timing of it is interesting and something to note, because you can't talk about how great you think Shedeur is doing and the progress that he's having to then just pull the rug out of underneath him for a guy in Dylan Gabriel or even Bailey Zappi, where it just doesn't matter the same way. But we were talking a little bit after last segment, and you were mentioning some of the positives you liked about Shedeur right now, and some of the plays, even like the Isaiah Bond play, for instance, that you just wouldn't have seen a couple weeks ago.
Well, I think it's important that the Browns are still making winning important. And the thing that I've said, I believe this, I do not think Dylan Gabriel played as bad as everybody thought he did. I still don't. However, he was not impactful. And if you watched the game last week, the impact that Shedeur had on his teammates, Dylan Sampson looked like a new player. Fannin run after catch, the energy in the defense, even though they've been playing great. What they said, how they said it, the play to Bond, the play to Sampson, Fannin's run after catch. Those are all impactful football plays, and his impact on his teammates is huge. And some guys just have a very Baker-like. Some guys have an impact on their teammates, and as a quarterback, you have to make the players around you better. We have not seen Dylan Sampson look like that all year.
Yeah.
And was it because he was juiced, because he got a new quarterback in? Whatever it was there.
Well, think about the players that were making plays. Not only Sampson, which is a great call. Tillman, obviously. People left Tillman for dead, and then he's making plays. Fannin, we've seen him make a couple plays here and there. We know he's got it in him. He made a lot of really good plays, but the offensive line, I mean, can we talk about that for a second? That offensive line has been the worst in the sport in pass protection the entire season long, and they looked like they had a clue out there. And all of a sudden, you didn't have a bunch of the pre-snap penalties. You didn't have a lot of the different penalties that were holding them back. And I again, maybe that's just a 1 week, we got lucky type situation because KT Levinston and Cam Robinson and those type of guys can only be what they are for so long. But for 1 week, at least it seemed like all those guys were playing their best ball.
And I don't think it's 1 week. I think that's
I don't think it is either.
Some guys have an impact, and whatever you think about different quarterbacks, if winning is the most important thing, which for me, I've said to you all year, winning, and they won, and he impact not only for what he did. You can't measure that. It's not his stats, it's not his PFF, it's not anything. It's impact. He had if you watch the games before, they played with a different level of energy, a different level of juice. That's important for an NFL team, and you got to give the credit to Shedeur Sanders with that because that's what ended up happening. Whether the throws were easy, which I told you, the swing pass he threw is not an easy throw. There is a level of the belief that his teammates have in him that now. What happens if he has a bad game? We don't know that, but you go with what is working right now, and his impact is what's working.
Now, there is a part of me that I think this report does do one thing, in that if you're Shedeur, I don't think this makes Shedeur all of a sudden say, well, I can be less than what I had to be last week. I think Shedeur still plays with that mentality of they're ready to rip the rug out from underneath me. I have to make sure every game is my best game, and I actually love that for Shedeur. People like Shedeur thrive when they feel like their back's against their wall, and they feel like they have to play good, and that's the only answer. There's no wiggle room for anything but that. That's why you see these videos that are going around TikTok right now. I have no idea, Coach, if you're on TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok. Okay. I'm not on TikTok.
I love TikTok. I'm obsessed with TikTok, okay? And so one of the videos...
I did not think that, but
I love TikTok. Well, I don't know. I don't know what that says about me that I like TikTok as much as I do.
It's all right. I don't judge.
For me, it's just another way of... It just gives me 30-second burst of fun information and things I like. So it's a lot of golf videos. It's a lot of NFL videos. It's a lot of like, oh, I didn't know that about the world. And I feel like I'm constantly learning through TikTok. I think most people think I'm just on there just looking at smut or something. I'm not sure, but like it's a learning tool for me. And yes, I felt the need to spell that out for you because I don't want you judging me any sort of way.
No judgment.
It's like how I only ask my ChatGPT positive questions because I want ChatGPT to think I'm a good person. Okay, it's the same thing. I want you to think the best of me, Coach. So I had to explain that out. But the point is that I was watching this clip of Shiloh. Shiloh came in to see Shedeur. Shedeur's mom was at his house as well, and they're like making Thanksgiving dinner and doing all these type of things. And Shedeur's just at the table, and he's studying his playbook. Now, was this for show, and did Shiloh make a point of it? I don't know. You tell me. But the reality is that it's Thanksgiving. His brother came in. His mom is cooking this whole meal. He's got family all around, and they're like trying to celebrate. And Shedeur's deep in his playbook at the dinner table because he understands like that's what he has to do. I don't know if you do that 10 years in. I don't know. I mean, I just don't. If you feel like you got a bunch of games left and this is just another game in a short season still, but another game, I don't know that you do that. I don't know that Matthew Stafford has his playbook out at the Thanksgiving Day table with Kelly Stafford right there and all his kids. But I know Shedeur did it because Shedeur feels like he has to be great in all of these games. And I love that. And there's probably a bunch of young rookie quarterbacks that were doing the exact same thing. But the only thing I got is video of TikTok of Shedeur doing it. So I got to point it out because it matters to me.